Well, what's going on, guys? I thought we'll do a lot of squad builders for you for different budgets, but I thought I'd do a community-based one where you send in your squads. And also, not only do I tell you where to improve, if you're watching this and maybe you want to change your squad because you got some coins in a weekend league, I'm going to give you some ideas. So for a cheap squad, we got one over here. It's a Serie A team. Now, to be honest, a player like Beasley, unless, of course, he's untradeable and this player didn't mark them, I would never spend that much money, for example, on a left back. I think left backs and right backs, you don't need to spend that much money. The right back is fine, but I think there's other better cards. I think you can literally just go with a cheap Spinazzola. Spinazzola is like one of the best cards you can get in left back. And then you can get Di Lorenzo here in right back. That would be just a good cheap one. Or you could go with Dumfries. If you're looking for a good Serie, I think Serie actually has some good cards. I think what I'll do here is get rid of Gvardiol. And then I would go ahead and I would put in someone like Bremer here. I understand why Gvardiol has kept this because of Marmoush's chemistry. But if I was to do this, I would do something like this. Now, Foden, he's probably not good enough. I think there's much better cards. Look, Reinders is a very good card you can get instead. But I know there's a lack of options in the Premier League. One of the best cards you can get is Tonali. So what I'd recommend to this individual here that's sent to the team is going something like this. And I think, you know, who's a fantastic card is Lookman if you're playing a 4-2-1-3. So if you're playing a 4-2-1-3, definitely consider putting Lookman in. But we're going to put Pulisic. And I think, you know what, this is a very good, let's say, for example, you have an RTG or your second team and you want to start something. You could go something like this. And I'll be honest, I'll probably get rid of the whole Premier League. But let's say you really wanted to keep here Marmoush in, because let's say, for example, you really wanted to use him. We can keep Gvardiol in. And then what we'll do is here, well, that's something like this. And I think that will be a good combination. I think if you want to make it just a bit better, you can go someone like Aina. I think he's a very good card. There isn't that many good right backs in the Premier. Well, there is quite a few, but it's the lack of the price. And then what I'll do is do something like this. And then to make this a bit better, so I'll normally prioritize chem. So we're going to, Premier League will give us one more chemistry. Has anyone got two? So we're going to get a Nigerian. So if you want to make this like a cheap team, and you know, I'd recommend this for like anyone that's looking for a cheaper team, Nigerian manager. And we'll go Premier League, and there you go. That would be a good example of a 100k team. And if you want to play a 4-2-1-3, definitely, in my opinion, go ahead and move someone like Loftus-Cheek and go ahead with like someone like Thuram. Lookman is one of my favorite cards right now, actually. Definitely one of my favorite cards. One of the best budget-friendly cards that you can get inside the game. Then we've got a bit more of an expensive team here. You can see he's got the Chiesa, the Kudus, the Goretzka. Goretzka is a nice card. But how could I make this better? So what I'll do is, Hanko I'd get rid of. He's too slow, in my opinion. If you know what I'm talking about. Some people don't like the fact that I'm doing it, but he's gone. Di Lorenzo is a perfect centre-back for me. And then what I would do here is, the issue is you haven't got that many good options. You can go with someone like Llorente, who's 50k, and that can bring the team up, and it gives the links to Alvarez. That's what I do on my second account. Oyarzabal is a decent card, but I think someone like Marmoush can fare in. So let's say, for example, you're watching this, maybe you haven't got Oyarzabal. Someone like Marmoush is honestly a really good card. Price performance, you can go with something like this. And Yuri Bachiche, he's too slow. You need to go someone like Balde here, or you could go someone like Mendy. So this would be not a bad example for 300k team. But I think with the Arcana leagues, you can probably do a bit better here. I'm presuming Alvarez is untradeable, and maybe he wants to use Kudus. I think a lot of people got this Kudus card. But if you're asking me what I would do is, I would go someone, and unfortunately, it's just so good. I would go someone like this, and I'll go Dumane, and I'll go Chwinga. This is what I probably would recommend for most people that are making a team. I just think like this trio over there is just so good. And even if you take a hit, I don't mind. The problem with mixed leagues sometimes are really, really hard to get. I'll probably get rid of the whole of Bundesliga, and maybe you could just keep. So one thing I'll tell you, if you have got Goretzka, let's say you watch this, you have got Goretzka, what I'll do is go something like this. I know you got Di Lorenzo. You probably want to, it's going to be hard to get him in. Let's just get rid of him like this. And that way, what I'll do is I'll go with someone like here. You can go with Hincapi, one of my favorite cards to use. And the goalkeeper, you can go with anyone. You can go with anyone cheap. Enla is actually not a bad card. She's 6 foot, not the tallest, but she's actually a very good card. She's got the rush out playstyle plus, but that could be something you consider. And we can get rid of Llorente as well if you don't want, let's say, for example, that pure a pure, for example, Serie A team. That could be a good combination if you want to get Goretzka and Davies in. And all you have to do here is you could just probably prioritize getting a German manager to get Goretzka on that full chemistry as well. Now we've got another card, 4-4-1-1. I think this is actually not a bad card. Musiala is not a bad card. I think he's gone down a lot in price. But the technical sprint, I don't think he's worth 100k. But I think Claudina Pino will be a great comp. So what I'll do is, let's say, okay, this card is fine. If any, he's got Lazaro untradeable, so most people can't afford that. I'd go with Davies. But something like this, got Sergio as well. Nice card. I'll get rid of this. So this is what I will do. I would go like this. And let's say you can't afford Sergio. Let's say you had Camavinga. So I would keep Sergio there. But let's say you couldn't afford it. What I'll do is, actually, I'll go with Mariona. That's perfect. Carpenter will keep. What I might do here, actually, is I'll go with Baltimore. I think that's her name. I hope it's her name. Unless I'm remembering incorrectly, Baltimore. I would move this. And let's say you don't have Musiala. It's for those that have Musiala. What I'll do here is go something like this. And then I would go with someone like Koundé. If you can't afford Koundé, Vivian is a good cheaper centre back. But in my opinion, Koundé is legit one of the best centre backs in the game. So if you can't afford Koundé, get Vivian. But let's just say something like this. And then what I would do on the left hand side is I would get Pina like this. Bam. She really is good. Be careful, by the way. A lot of people are pumping and dumping her, by the way. So she's gone up. She went to 100k basically. I don't know if it will show you in an hourly graph, but she went to 100k, then she's going back down again. So be careful. People are getting banned for pumping and dumping her. So just be very careful. But something like that is what I would go with. And James, you can keep. But I would go with something like that. And you can even consider using Salma on the higher end. Salma is one of my favorite cards here. This is a nice card here with the NWSL team. I think if you're looking for a good team and you want a top striker, you want to build around a heavy base striker, I think Wilson is a fantastic card. I think she features there very well. Lavelle is one of my favorite cards. I like the Goretzka as well. I think this is a fantastic team. What I would maybe do here is, maybe I would consider getting Pacho. So a team like this, I'd maybe get Pacho over Marquinhos. I really like Pacho using it on my main account. I think a problem like the defensive line is perfect. The only thing I would do here is go for a Pacho. And maybe you can consider maybe in the long term of going towards a La Liga and getting maybe a De Jong Llorente mix. So what you could potentially do is we could drop all of these guys, right? And then we can go with someone like Llorente. This is what I would put, someone like Llorente. Then I would go with De Jong. And then I would go with Koundé. And then what I would do long term is I'd have someone like Pacho. Let's do something like this. And then Robinson will still get some chemistry because the US links. And you go with something like this. Reinders will get killed. If you really want to keep Reinders, you could go with a Gvardiol. That kind of messes up Chem a little bit. But this is problem, guys. When you have these mixed teams, right? It's not only are they hard to improve, you have to basically be very careful and select, okay, who do I go with? So now I'll go with, for example, a La Liga manager who's Dutch. So I'll go with a Dutch La Liga manager. This is the issue, by the way, when you run into... This is why I advocate against using multiple leagues. Where's normal La Liga? There it goes. And this is why I would normally advise against using these multiple leagues. I would just say go with 2. So if you want to do it, you can just probably drop the entire thing altogether and then go with Pacho, something like this. Then you could do something like that. I mean, realistically, it's hard. Unless you have the players that are available to get chemistry in some of these players, it can be very difficult. And that's why icon worths are very much needed. But you can see something like this is hard to do unless you're going with like a long-term impact of like, you know, a Nunez. But let's say if anyone watching this that wants to consider doing something like this, you can definitely keep that. You can go with something like this. And then what we could do is we can put Robinson back in. We put Robinson back in over here. We can drop Marquinhos or something like that. And then we'll go with Frimpong. And we could do something like this. So just something just to bear in mind. The only issue is with teams like this, it's very, very hard. I don't know why that's... but you go with American manager. But you see, with these mixed leagues, it can be very hard to get the players in. Now, what about building around evolution? People say, no, I've got an evolution. What do I do here? And I think with the Cornerstones card, it does give you that benefit of being... I think this is a good team. I think the only thing I would do really here is I'd probably go with okay, Saliba is a nice card. I'm not saying he's a bad card. I think with a shadow, he's good. But I feel like you might need a Pacho on the left-hand side. So what I'll probably do is go with a Pacho here long-term. and she's actually not a bad CDM. Good defense awareness. I would probably, I know you're doing this maybe just for chemistry as well, but maybe something that I would do is go with someone like Gyro. I think Gyro is a really, really nice card. And that way you can go something like this. I know why, because you want Messi in. But something like this could be a good option. The thing is, when you're going down these multiple league routes, it's very hard to go ahead and get the real top high octane players. I mean, I like this Trossard. I think this Trossard card is very nice. Can play Cam as well, 5-star. I think if you are going to build a one league team, I would say stick to Premier League. I would say you could go like a Division 1 Arcane long term. But if you really want to get these chemistry guys in, you got to go towards an icon. So I would say, unless you got like one of the icons. The problem is, just to give you a bit of example, there isn't really that many good icons per se. So, I mean, well, there is, but the price of them is hard. But what you can do, if you're looking for like a cheap, like let's say you want a cheap icon, right? Someone like Henrik Larsson could be a very good card that you could get. As I said, the problem is that if I go, I'm just going to type in, look for my strikers. We're going to go ahead and look some icons over here. The only issue is it's quite hard. So you can see that with the icons, to get some really good ones, it's quite pricey. I need some of the best players, but like Pishon, Owen, they're too expensive. Shevchenko's not a bad, actually cheap option, but you could go with a Crespo, to be fair. But like someone like a Shevchenko will be a good card. Bit clunky, 6 foot. But this way will be one of the few ways you can get chemistry. Lineker is actually not a bad card either. And so you can go with Crespo. So if you want like a real go-to, because Crespo is not too tall either, he's 6 foot and good GL team balance. So if you're looking for an icon to get you chemistry, in terms of center mids, you don't really have that much choice. Fowdy is a good card, but again, you're really going in to the higher ends. Lampard's not a bad card, but apart from that, they're all quite pricey to get in. So unless you want to go ahead with a Cole, so just something just to bear in mind when you're going for those mixed league teams. Now, this is a nice team, very interesting. I like Salma as well. What I would do here is James I'll get rid of. He's too slow. You see? As centre back, he's fine. If he was a centre back, 81 sprint speed, it's not really ideal. The problem is, I would say for most, I'm going to say most players in the Premier League. That's not the right one. You got a little sneak peek of a little blog that I'm doing. I'm just going to leave that in. I'm going to bother editing out. Nothing to really show you there. But look, if I go to the Premier League, honestly, if Aina and Frimpong, yeah, maybe Dalot and Nunez. Spence is actually not a bad card. I use him as well. There isn't that much option. So what I'd probably say is drop Rice. I would say go Tonali. Long-term go with Reinders. And then what I will do is Hanko I would drop. For now, keep him. And I'll go Van der Ven here long-term. This is what I would do. I know why you're doing it. You're doing it for the chem. I'll go something like this, and then I'll drop her, and I'll go with Patry. This will be the upgrades that I will do. And you go with Frimpong here. You can go with anyone else if you really, really want to. But that would be something that I would do. And I'll be honest, Yamal, I think is only good if you use him properly. It's what would be the best way of explaining it. Not properly, but I would say he's more of Robinson here is probably the better card. By the way, Robinson's a fantastic card because he has the jockey playstyle. Don't forget. He's got some really good playstyles. One of the best left backs, actually. I've used this year. Very, very underrated. But something like this. But it's a really good card. Trying this, I don't know, Teddy's Chocolate Orange Baileys. Even though it's not even Christmas yet. We're in October, but I thought, why not? I think it's limited edition, by the way, if anyone in the UK. But yeah, something like this is what I would go with. You can drop the manager like so. I think it's going to be hard to get these players in, but this would be the best bet that you have to get chemistry. Then I would focus on going with a Swedish manager to get Gyökeres on chem. And sometimes you got to take a hit. Unless you're going for someone like a Cole or someone like this, where you can try to fix chemistry and then you can go with like a Swedish manager here. It's very hard in like a Swedish manager. Well, you can't really. Well, Liga F's not going to be any benefit. Something like this, I'd say long term would be a good option. I think like if you're going to go with, let's say you're watching this right now and you're like, you know what, Neil, I need a cheap card. Balde will actually give you a good link because you'll get the chemistry like this across and you get the Spanish links. Then what you would do here is you would go with a Premier League manager and then I'll probably go with Swedish. So I'll go S for Sweden and then I'll go with a Premier League manager. and that way you'll get Jokeres on chemistry. And then I think you've actually got a good. I think now you've got a very good team. Maybe you could argue Yamal, is he worth the money? I mean, I think he's not. If you are using technical sprint, it's a different situation. But I think that would be a perfect example of a perfect team. That's coming in at just a mil, and I think that's a really good team. I think you can get better for the price. We've got another card here. We've already gone through that one. Another Claudina Pina, another very good card. Araujo, I think, is a good card. I think he's a good temporary card, but I would go with Rudiger just because he's got. Well, to be honest, they're both similar, but I would go with Rudiger because he's probably the better defender. You could argue the jockey playstyle is very, very important, so I'm trying to keep that the same. But the 87 sprint speed, I'd much prefer something like this and just drop a shadow on him, and then you got a good card. Whereas Araujo needs a shadow, and he can't just use a sentinel by himself. So Araujo is a good card for now. But I would say something like this. You can keep this in. And if you really, really want to here, actually, we can get rid of the MLS here. We can go ahead and get someone like Rudiger. So what I probably would do is go with like a Lorente here. It's probably not going to be best for chemistry, but something like this is what I would do. I would get rid of her, and I'll go ahead and get Salma here. And that should fix the chem over there. And then what you could do for the Premier League, you can literally just go here and get a Netherlands manager. That will push it up 1, and the Premier League will get 2. So when you're trying to, these managers are going to be very important. So whenever you're trying to get players on chemistry, try to be very smart. Look, I want to be honest, try to build like a 2-league team. And don't forget to drop your teams down below. You'll do this, might do this every single week. I don't know. Maybe we might bring this series back. But definitely recommend it. What I'll do at the end of the video, I'll build my perfect million coin team that I think is perfect right now as well. I think this is another very good, again, it's not a very similar one, a Jose. I will get rid of Furman. I think here, realistically speaking, and Nico Williams is good. I would say you need to get that better cam. I'll be honest, I'd probably say like long term, you want to go with like a Bon Mati, but maybe go with Pina here. Drop her like that. And then go here and then get Patri instead. Pedri and Patri are very good cards. But like, let's just, we're going to do this on foot.gg actually. I like the comparison better on the foot.gg this year. And let's say we go Pedri. Look, people always ask me, unless Pedri's your favorite player, look, I think Patri has everything that Pedri has, but better. And I think the pace is identical. Shooting's better on Patri. Passing, okay, some slight advantages in certain areas, but like you got the long ball play style, you get tiki-taka incisive. This is fine. You could argue because of height alone. Patrick Guijarro, I think she is, if I'm not mistaken, she's 5'7", so she'll feel better on the ball. And defensively, she's much better compared to Pedri. I think the out and out simple solution would be something like this. So yeah, so drop him, get Pedri. Sorry, Pedri, drop Pedri, get Patri. And then go with something like this. I think that's a good combination. You can go with Ter Stegen long term and goalkeeper. And then Hanko. I would say now is a better card, and then I'll go Lorente. There you go. So you see, like now we're going to like we're really bringing these teams towards meta category. If you don't have a Sergo, you can definitely go with someone else. The only downside is there isn't that many good CDMs in that. Well, you could go maybe if you really wanted, you could go Pedri on the other side. But the problem is in La Liga, there isn't that many good CDMs. You really have a De Jong and Valverde, which are too expensive. So you could just go with a Camavinga for now and then go long term for that De Jong. But we have another card here. This is actually a really nice card. Matt Letitia, the team name is. I'm presuming they want to keep Letitia. By the way, she's actually a fantastic card. The only downside is she's 5'7". But if you're looking for someone who's got a jockey playstyle, I think she's very, very good. But I would make some changes here. I think Letitia is very, very good. But unless you want two players that have it, then I'd probably say Grima from Lord of the Rings. Germa. She has a better sprint speed and arguably the same jockey playstyle. So if this player is really struggling, then you go with something like this. I would drop something like this, and I would go with something like that. And let's say you really wanted to keep this structure in, go de Manet. That's it. There you go. And then all you got to do now, I think that's perfect. Then you just go with a Haiti manager. And then you Neuer, just get rid of him. You can go with Enla. Enla's actually not a bad card because she's 6 foot. She's got the rush out. She's not too short. Like, you know, some goalkeepers are just like 5'7". That's ridiculous. But 6 foot is not too bad. The goalkeepers, look, unless let's say you want to go with David Raya, you can go with. Or, by the way, future, Dudek. Want to throw him out. 60k only. Fits in anywhere. And he's got the rush out playstyle plus as well. 6'1". So David Raya is probably, you could argue, the same height as Enlo, or just, well, yeah, exactly the same height. So maybe you can make the argument that maybe it's worth something like this. But that could, if you wanted to keep that team, that could be a really good option. However, I would say maybe in the long term, you may have to consider changing leagues, or maybe going with like a better center back. But we'll come on to that another day. Not a nice team here, but you got to remove some cards. I don't know what the budget is. Virgil van Dijk with the shadow, he's okay, but you're probably gonna kill me. But I'll drop him, and I will go ahead and get him Cappy instead, just because he's faster, easier to recover. And then I would go ahead and get Patry. Even off chemistry, do something like this. And the whole Messi situation, realistically, you can't do that much. If you really wanted to keep Thuram, because you had him, then what you could do is you can go with Lookman. I see a Depend on the bench, and then we can go with I was about to say DeMarcos. We're gonna go with, I forgot the gentleman's name. He's the guy that I'm always talking about, not Spinazzola. What's his name? I forgot his name. Oh my god, how have I forgotten his name? Di Lorenzo. What the hell? Looking at squads all day and I've forgotten the name. You don't need to get this one. You can just go ahead and get the regular card. But again, you can see chemistry is a big issue. But if you wanted to go with all these, realistically, in my opinion, if you want to keep Thuram in, you're going to have to look for the hyperlink or the French links. This is not ideal, but this is the only way you're going to do it. So you can see he's got Juventus. So let's say I really wanted to fit a card in. So like I can see Bremer. So what I would do here is go with something like this. Get Bremer in over here, and then that way we got chemistry there. Martinez can probably stay. Then I would go ahead and get Lookman here, or you could get someone like Pulisic, and we'll go a bit different. We'll go Pulisic, but I'll say Perisic for a second. You can go someone like Pulisic over here, and then we got to make a decision. So we will go here. We'll go ahead and put Aina in. How are we looking for chemistry? Not good. Not good. So maybe we'll go ahead and put Di Lorenzo here. And then this is where chemistry is going to get messed up. We've got to make a decision here. I think we go with... So how would I do this? I would go with... This is going to be tough. How would we do this? I think we're going to go... This is the, as I said to you, this is the issue. Like, you know, it's hard to get these players in. I think we're going to go with Syria here. I think we're going to go with Syria and we're going to go with Netherlands because I want to get Van der Ven on chemistry and then I want to get these players. So you can see you got to take a hit somewhere. This is the issue when you do these multiple squads. Like you might have a perfect squad which is there for just there and now. We might come back to this in the end. Okay, we'll use the super squad. Okay, so a bit of a combination squads here, actually. This guy's got Thuram. It's actually a nice squad. I understand we went with Yildiz. I think you got to drop... By the way, I think you got to drop Yildiz here. I think you got to drop Yildiz and go with like a De Jong here. For now, you could do something like a Patrick Quijaro. I would do something like this. And that would be the way to go. That's actually a nice squad. But we're going to work on this one. Let's get a custom squad. So Wirtz. So now Wirtz, I don't really rate... some pros are using him purely for the incisive pass. If you're not using it for that reason, I wouldn't put him in. If I was to do this now, I think the midfield is fantastic. I think I would long-term go with someone like a Bonmati. That would be who I would want. I think if I was to break this team up, what I would do is I would go like this. And then I would say long-term, I'll go with a Valverde. That's what I would do. You can go with it cheap for now. I think Chiellini is a good card, but let's say most of you guys are not going to have Chiellini. So let's first of all do this for him with just a regular team. I think Camavinga is too slow. We'll go with a Mendy. Go with anyone here. Balde. I think that's what I'd recommend. But how would I do this? So I would probably here go with a Kunde. Let me know how this Yashin card is. I've not actually done this yet. I've not had time to do this Yashin card, but let me know. But I will do something like this. So if you're looking for like a 1.5 million coin team, and look, you can make this easily a 1 mil. I think like for 1 mil, I think this is the best combination you can get right now. I think for what this is 1.2 million, you don't have to use the Cornerstone Evolution, but I think if you're looking for a 1.2 million team, I think this is the best team you could probably get. One of the best teams in the game right now. We're going to be a bit selective, so realistically, the league's not going to make a difference. We've got to just pick and choose because we've already got all the links here. So we could go here. Maybe I might just go with the Netherlands manager. Will it give me the cam? No, it won't. So we have to go with the Haitian manager here. So we can get but this would be a really good staple team. I think if you can't afford something like this, you could go with the Patrick Guijarro instead of a De Jong. If you really want to up this, you could go with someone like a Valverde. But I would say something like a Patri will also be very, very good. Like this. And that would be also not a bad idea. And you go with the League F manager here. Actually, you probably go with the La Liga manager. Go with the La Liga manager, and you can get the chemistry that way. Let La Liga manager, and then you can go with a H manager. But that would be, maybe we might leave it. That could be a very good team. Now, I'll give you a bit of a sneak peek. So what would I do now if I'm building my team? Okay. So I think if I go here and I go to remove all players, now goalkeepers, let me give you a quick sneak peek. I want the following. So height obviously is important. Then I'd want to be realistic. Okay, so what would I do? So we're going for a mil. Let's just build this together, actually. We're going for a mil. So what would I do? I would go with footwork, which I think is important for the low drivens. And then I'll go with rush out. That's why I love Ter Stegen. I would put Ter Stegen in. So Ter Stegen will go in goal. We'll go Kunde. I know exactly what I'm getting. Kunde. And I think there's a lot of good centre backs. I think Hincapi, if you're looking for an all-arounder, Hincapi is a really nice card. But he's got the jockey playstyle as well. I think he's really affordable. I think he's very underrated. I think arguably one of the best centre backs in the game. Like to get the cards that I want with the jockey playstyle, I mean, there isn't really that many options. We could go with a Saliba. A Rudiger is not a bad option, but I really like Hincapi. Renard, she's just too slow. I think you really want the high sprint speed, like a Hincapi, 88 sprint speed. So even though he hasn't got any other cam styles, it goes on like this. Then I would go Lorente. This is what I would go. And then over here, I think you can just go with anyone. You can get away with anyone here. I think if you just really want to get the links to the Premier League, and go with Robinson. Then in midfield, I'll go Patri. I'll go Salma left mid. Diani. Dumane. Pina. And then I would probably go De Jong. Or I'll go with Reiners. I think if I had to choose one, I know chemistry is not ideal, similar to the team that we just did before. But I actually like that. I like that structure. The issue is with chemistry. So what I'll probably do here is I'll have to drop. Dumane and Diani are really good. Would I want to drop them? Possibly no. If I had the money, I could go with a Gyökeres and strike. I think Gyökeres is an absolute tank of a striker. But Salma's good. Diani by herself, she's actually very good as well. But what you could also consider is something like this. We can go with Pina over here. I think realistically, Dumane. Now, you know what? Let's make this a perfect 800k. So what would I do here? I think that would be the go-to. I think I'll take a hit on the chemistry. Maybe we just drop, because I know it's not gonna like this. We drop something like this, and we get like this, and we go with De Jong. I mean, I would love a Valverde here, but he's gonna push the budget too high. Valverde, by the way, you don't see him that much. But in my opinion, he's one of the best CDMs inside the game. High sprint speed, good defense awareness. You could bloody put a sentinel on him. But I will still, of course, go with a shadow. I think he's a very, very good CDM, very underrated. Doesn't have the jockey play style, but he's got the pace to make up for it. And then I would go with Karchawi. I think that would be the best way we could do it for chemistry. I think that's what I would do. I think if I had a mil now, that's what I would do. If I can't afford De Jong, it's not the end of the world. There's other cards available. But if I had a mil, that's what I would do. If De Jong, Salma went up, she was like 75k, was she not? Yeah, she went back up, then she went down again. That's what I would do. I think if you're looking for a team if you're looking for a team to aspire to get, and you want the raw performance, this is the best team you can get. This is the one that has everything. This is like the car that's super fast. You got the nice interior, you got the heated seats, and it's a nice drive. It has everything that you want, I think, and it doesn't cost that much. I think this is the perfect combination of everything. And you know what? I think there's only maybe a few players that maybe I would prefer instead of ter Stegen. Kunde won the best centre backs. Rudiger won the best. Llorente won the best right backs. Karchawi could improve. Patry still won the best CDMs. De Jong's won the best centre mids. Dumane's won the best cams. Diane's arguably one of the best cheap right backs, or cheap as in under the normal brackets. And if I really wanted, let's say I really want to take this to the next level, what I would do is go Dembele. And let's say you ask me, like, what would I want? Like, what would I really, really want? I would go with Dembele. And then what I would do here is Salma, I would probably keep. But the argument is for Rafinha and Williams. That is the argument. And maybe Valverde. But I would take a hit. I would probably go with something like this. And then maybe you could even go, Pacho over here, where I think overall would be a better card. And then what we could do something like this. And then we go League One Manager. We'll go League One Manager, and then we'll go, La Liga Manager. No, actually, hang on. League One Manager. And then we will go Spanish. Or actually, we'll go with Ecuador, because I'd rather have. Yeah, we'll go something like this. So Ecuador. Why is it not working? Is there no Ecuadorian managers? I'm sure there is. There must, maybe Football just doesn't have it. But anyway, I'll go something like that, and then I'll go with League One to get Dembele on chemistry. Or if you really, really wanted to, you could go Spain. And then we'll go, where's League One? Bam. Something like this. And that would be really cool. I think, who would I really want long term? Maybe I would go here with a Bonmati. I think she's a fantastic cam. And then on the right hand side, you could go Hakimi for right back, but not as a right mid. I think Nico Williams has to go in instead. Maybe you can argue Hansen if you really want, but like something like this, that would be my perfect 3 mil team right now. That would be the team that probably lasts you a very long time. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. It ended up being a long video, more of like a review, but also I wanted to give you guys some inspiration. I know we've already done some of the squads. We've already made some squad builders on my other account. My main account. So I didn't want to go over it too much because we've gone through a lot of these squad builders. So I didn't want to go on the low end, but I just wanted to make it a bit more. But any of the squad builders, I'll be honest, some of the best squad builders I made are in this video here. It's a long one, 33 minutes. Definitely skip to the end. But I would say, yeah, that's the team I'll go for. You got 3 mil. You don't have to even go for Dembele and Bonmati. You can go with the Diani links, as I said, that much cheaper. Being guys, so enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, of course, if you want to get better FC, come join my Patreon series, patreon.com/Neil guys. Links down below in the description. We're making videos, adding new videos all the time. We uploaded a new video today. What we're going to do is, I know people are struggling so much for defending. So I've really been behind the scenes. I've been testing, so the exact stats I recommend, and some stats I don't even mention on my YouTube channel, and the play styles I'd recommend for centre backs. I'm really trying to get as much defending stuff, test it as quick as I can, and get it out. But of course, look, let's say you finished the FC score already. I don't think most people have, because we'll just be practicing. There's other videos that are also linked down below. But do not fear, the FC20 school videos are also there. We're going to be remaking these for FC26. Some of these are like timeless, like filling the gaps and stuff like that. So we are going to go over that as well. All those videos will be coming very soon. And we have all other videos. We have all FC26 videos. We got 26 gameplay analysis stuff that we're doing. It's a list of all. We got how to dribble like a pro. We've got importance of the players, protecting the board, defensive principles. We also got tactics as well, lofted pass, and we've got the meta mechanics. This is one thing that we're doing. You know, I don't really teach nonsense BS, but we've got a meta mechanics series. If you're wondering, if you want to systematically improve, we've got this meta mechanics series. For let's say you've learned the basics and you just want to start abusing the game, quote unquote abusing the game. But then also we have a quick start guide. So if anyone's new to the Patreon, make sure you follow this guide. So I tell you, follow up to the training center. Make sure you do the bloody training center. Everyone skips that. Watch everything that I tell you. Trust me, there's a reason. I'm not there to long it out for you. There's a reason why you got to follow the procedure. And then, of course, we have struggling to defend, follow the series, best ways to score, how to set up the tactics, best tactics struggling with defending, we introduce teammate contain, struggling with jockeying. We've got all the different jockey methods. So you can use a left stick method, the one that I use. You got the analog sprint control, and then you got the traditional jockey sprint, and then you got like a lot of videos how to attack, way to attack, struggling with shooting, precision shooting, how to score inside the box, passing, first time mechanic abusers for those that are there, how to never lose the ball, and how to build up from your own defense. All those videos, and of course the god tier 3-hour documentary of how to apply pressure. But anyway, links down below in the description. Thanks very much for watching. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.